When you started playing, and did you imagine kind of this life that you are leading now? Did you think of what that would be, what it would be to be a touring musician?
Well, you probably had this romantic dream of living a rock star life or something, but my goal was always if I can make a living out of it, then that's kind of then I reached my goal, you know. But of course, I had high dreams, and I didn't go to high school, for instance. I started working at a factory when I was ending ninth grade. When I was 15, turning 16, I started working in a factory to buy my first Marshall amp.
So it was all in.
So I was very determined. And when I was 19, I got my first gig. Because my dad told me, if you don't get a gig before you're 19, you're going to have to go to high school. But I managed to just, at the end, got this gig with this band Talisman with people from Jeff and Marcel from the Rising Force, Yngvie's old band, you know, which they were pretty popular at that time. So it was a gig at least, you know, and it was a cool experience.
And I don't know if your parents are still alive, but
yes, they are.
Okay. What do they think of what you do now?
No, they like it. They've been very supportive all the way. So I've been lucky in that way. They've always been supportive.
Oh, that's good.
So that's great. My dad taught me like the first riff I played, so he was into more acoustic singer-songwriting type of stuff, you know. So, absolutely.
And then now, like you say, you get to tour the world, and it's obviously one of the things you set out to do when you were younger. What is it about being on stage that gives you energy? Is it a very conscious thing, being on stage?
A very
conscious? Are you very aware of what's going on, or are you more in the moment in a way?
It depends on how far you're in a tour, for instance. If you played 10, 15 shows, you get so more comfortable with it. You stop thinking, whoa, when is this next part coming and stuff like that. So, but it is a special feeling, I think, when everything flows, when all the details clicks. That makes me happy. Then I feel good. And also, as I mentioned before, it's like time stops existing. You're not watching the clock. Oh, we're going to play a 2-hour set. Time goes really fast. That's probably why because you have a lot of fun, you know.
Do you think about these things when you're in the creative process, when you're working on it? Let's take Sorcerers, the last one. When you're working on it, do you then think, okay, this is going to sound like this live, or we're going to get this type of energy from it at this point, or is it?
Yeah, well, actually, when we listened to the Sorcerers track, the title track, we both like, well, this is going to be heavy live, because it was more simple, straightforward kind of meat and potatoes rock kind of song, and with a big crowd, that's probably going to work out pretty good. Than more faster technical stuff, which is also fun. We have that stuff too, but so absolutely, certain riffs you feel like, yeah, that's going to be fun to play live. Absolutely.
So I think on this record, Strange Brew is one that you were a little bit more involved in. So
yeah.
what was the idea behind that riff, or behind kind of that song?
It was the demo. The first idea that I recorded at my house. It's very different from the one that ended up on the album. But I kind of had the basic theme, this kind of descending chord progression, which remind me a bit of Dazed and Confused with Led Zeppelin a bit, but a bit more evil, maybe you could say. It had a lot of other riffs going on that didn't make it, but it came out really cool. It's pretty progressive song. I think it has a lot of different sections, and I really enjoy the blues riff. Me and Michael did some trade-off solos in the middle. That was really fun. So it always kind of turns out that when me and Michael work together, I have a seed or something for a song, a theme, and he kind of takes a spin-off on that. And so yeah, it came out quite interesting, I would say.
Have you started doing those sessions with Michael for a next album?
A little bit, yes. Actually, we're very much into the demoing. I've recorded a lot of solos so far, and Michael has almost already written 12 songs for the new album. So we have more material than enough for an album. But I think we've at least tried to finish 15 songs. So hopefully we'll work on some ideas very soon.
Without revealing too much, what have you noticed about some of the new work and some of your own new playing?
It's pretty... I reckon there's a goal of releasing it the first quarter next year. So I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but that we're working towards that, and the songwriting goes very well. Michael's been very productive these last since January, basically. When we got off touring, we did the last touring for Sorceress in November. So this is the first gig we do tonight in 8 months.
Okay.
We had 2 rehearsals, so see how it goes. But
nervous?
No, I'm looking forward. Okay. I've been missing it. Well, so, but not to reveal much, but compared to the last 3 albums, I would say, if I can reveal anything, this album is more complex, more energetic, and I think it's going to be something.
And well, this is probably an obvious thing, because as a musician, and I can imagine this is very difficult as a musician, but people will have something to say about the type of music you make. The fans will have something to say, and so especially because you are, as a band, quite adventurous. Do you still think about that? Do you still think about, well, maybe they will think this of our music, or does that still worry you?
I mean, the first filter is the guys in the band, I would say. If we enjoy it, we can only hope that people enjoy listening to Opeth will enjoy it. That would be nice, but if we're happy with it, we will release it. No. It's quite simple. We don't. I think especially that's kind of Michael question in the web, since he's the creative director for the band, or so. And I know, speaking for him a little bit here, that he always tries to push everything into something new. And I think people will enjoy this new album.
Final question then, because last time I spoke to Michael, he told me that he loves the creative process a lot more than the touring aspect of this whole thing. For you, what is it like? Which do you prefer? Is it for you being on stage and kind of that energy release?
I like both. I wouldn't give away one of them for the other.
Right.
No, I think they're in symbiosis. You need to do both, and I really enjoy being in the studio. It's very creative, and also coming up, recording ideas. I enjoy that quite a lot. And recording solos, of course, always fun, sometimes frustrating. But
well, I have one last question then, and this is about playing solos, because I've always wondered, and this is for any guitarist, but how do you start thinking of a solo? Does it start once you hear the track, or do you already have certain solos ready to pick from once a track? How does that work?
For the actual recording?
Right.
That's a good question. It kind of varies. Sometimes I like to, sort of speaking, write a solo from point to point. Like we did this song called Moon Above, Sun Below. That solo I was sitting with for 1.5 months, off and on. Not entirely 1.5 months. But that was completely like every note written type of solo. But like for the song Cusp of Eternity, that solo was just improvised, second take. Okay. And then I felt, well, on the demo, on the album we're going to try to do it differently, do something more, blah, blah, blah. But then listening to the demo, you kind of sunks in, and I have to relearn what to improvise. And sometimes that can be difficult, because some fast stuff sometimes I really don't know what I do, or it's difficult to. But I managed to relearn them. So it kind of varies. Sometimes Michael likes me to play heat or moment type of solos, where I don't really plan too much or think too much. Just play something that hopefully suits the song.
Fair enough.
So it's kind of like jumping off a cliff sometimes.
Fair enough. Fredrik, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. Cheers.
You.